Hello, outside of Conceptual Training family. Today, I have the privilege of sitting down with Dr. Niccole Bruno, CEO and co-founder of blendVET. She is leading one of the most innovative movements in veterinary medicine, focused on belonging, leadership, equity, and diversity. Through initiatives like the Pathway Program, blendVET is not only opening the doors for underrepresented students and professionals, but also reshaping how the profession thinks about mentorship, culture, and leadership development. Dr. Bruno's work has been recognized across the industry, and she continues to set a standard for creating meaningful, lasting change in veterinary medicine. I am excited to dive into her journey, her vision, and the impact of blendVET. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Ryan.
So we're gonna just jump right in and get to know you, and I know everyone is really excited about this interview. First, what inspired you to create blendVET, and how has your personal leadership journey shaped the organization's mission?
Yes, so good question to start me off with. So my start into vet med was at the age of 12. I am a native New Yorker. I'm from Queens, and I grew up in a city that celebrates diversity. Diversity is all around me. And yet when I wanted to be a veterinarian, I did not see that diversity in the experiences in the hospital spaces that I was getting those hours in. And it at times was very isolating. And I knew that I wanted to be in this profession, but I didn't necessarily see or have that mentorship. And I certainly didn't see the representation. Fast forward a couple years later, my sister expressed interest in becoming a veterinarian as well. And then that kind of shifted my perspective with having that big sister hat and leading us both into vet med, of trying to make sure that I created a pathway that she could certainly follow to get into vet med as well. And so from then, all of my experiences have had that perception of like looking at a veterinary space and thinking about how am I received in it, and then how would it be received 6 to 7 years later when my sister was joining. And I found that, there was a lot of room for improvement. I was very blessed to go to Tuskegee University for undergrad, and I think that that really helped to shape what vet med was for me, in the sense that I was supported. There was faculty that looked like me. There was representation around me, and vet school was right there. So the dream seemed real. I ended up going to Cornell for veterinary school. And I think that I took the values and that environment and that support that I had from Tuskegee and definitely demanded and wanted it at Cornell. And because we didn't have the representation in the administration or the faculty, but there was an intention about recruitment for students. And I was very lucky to be in a diverse class by Cornell standards. And that allowed us to do work in the DEI space at Cornell, even as students. So then fast forward to me becoming a veterinarian and then entering the workforce and then assuming leadership roles. I started to see not only the disparities when you don't have people of color in veterinary hospitals helping to provide patient care, but I also saw how that impacted patient care because of the fact that if clients cannot connect with veterinary professionals, if they are not understanding of cultural differences or barriers, then those clients aren't doing the services. They aren't saying yes because there's a disconnect. And I thought that there was opportunity to, create a program that taught veterinary professionals why this mattered in the greater good of it. We all are in it to save the animals, but the people stand between the animals. And if we cannot connect with them and basically have them understand in their language or understand that there is not just one gold standard of care, then we are, not serving the pets that we've taken an oath for. And one more thing, and then I realized that the culture of vet med needed to also be revamped. And so that's kind of what brought me to creating blendVET, and then the rest is history.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like a sibling trying to do something that you want to do the spearhead some focus. Yes. No, you hit so many points that all I can say is preach.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about it. We can talk about it as much as we want, but I mean, it's definitely something that I think we have a long way to go, but I've also been very inspired about the traction blendVET has had in the last 3 years. So I know that we are going to keep doing the good work.
Yeah, you guys are definitely a pillar in the community, and you're doing a lot of good work. And Pathway is bar none.
Thank you. Thank you. That is definitely my heart project.
Yeah. Um, as a leader, been most difficult? What's been the most difficult pushback you faced, and how did you overcome?
Oh, I think that, leadership is hard because it's about people,
Mm-hmm.
and that can bring its own concerns and issues. But I also think that the type of work that blendVET is doing and committed to doing is also not work that is always seen as valuable, as profitable, and we're a business, right? Veterinary medicine is a business industry.
Yeah.
So I think that that's been the struggle from the start, because I was creating, all I had was an idea. And I had no dollars to put it together. And so the struggle was really trying to get buy-in from stakeholders in the industry to help create the product. And
Mm-hmm.
3-4 years ago, there was a commitment, and it allowed me to grow a team, that allowed me to create the product, and allowed me to start the work. And now, unfortunately, with today's culture, it is again now becoming associated with negativity, and that's far from it. And so I think the biggest pushback has been adapting to the times that we're in, and trying to remember that I have to still continue to push, like, what are the facts? DEI matters. It matters from a business lens. And so I think that that's what I've had to hold on to. And I've also think that any leader has to understand the importance of pivoting and knowing when to pivot, and understanding that sometimes the pivot isn't bad. Sometimes it's to redirect you for the greater good. And I think that because when I started to get a lot of pushback in bringing it into organizational spaces and trying to create transformational change from top down, I realized that there was a lot of value from bottom up. And I hate to say bottom up because I have been a frontline worker, and there's nothing bottom about it. It's the most critical part of veterinary medicine. But if we are getting the people that are on the front line and can change and transform, how they think about DEIB, then we are creating more of an impact that our clients benefit from the most. So I think the art of pivoting is probably one of the most important things that leadership has to be willing to do.
Yeah, I love that. And there's definitely multiple companies taking hard pivots right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I also, one of the things about veterinary medicine that I really appreciate, and it's people and people like yourself, is that hard times don't break us.
No.
It only gives us tools, actually, because we know how to make a way out of no way.
Yes, and I lean on that, and I think leaning on people, like, you need support, and that's where the mentorship comes into play. But even sometimes just support of people that like-minded people, because even yourself and I, we are doing very similar things in vet med, and may have had different experiences that we can support each other, right? You may be able to counsel me through something that I'm experiencing for the first time, and vice versa. So I think that, we do have tools, and we have people that will help us get through this.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, learning to build your tribe is, and no one can do it by themselves.
It's key.
Yeah. Can you share a Pathway program success story?
Ooh, how much time do you have?
All day for you.
Yeah, no. I mean, wow, the Pathway programming has been just. Sometimes I have to fight, but I hope to not be emotional, because every event is important to me. Like, it brings a different element of whether we're in a different part of the country. We've gone internationally. So every program is special to me for a different reason. And there's always that one story from every event. But I will say that the events that I've done in New York City by far have impacted me, because I'm a native New Yorker, and not being able to bring programming that I wanted when I was that age is, to me, like, just, it's everything. But I would say, as far as like tangible stories, VMX is is a special program that we do because it was the first program, and it was just the idea that I pitched, and it was well received, and we started that program, and now we're planning the fourth program. And because of the relationship that we have with NAVC, they let me use VMX as kind of like the pilot of how we're going to operate for the year. So it means that I've been able to expand the programming. So this past year, we had students that have attended all three of our programs. And so we needed to grow with those students. Like, we never want the program to come across as one and done and excite students and then not give them a next step. So
Right.
while we focused on middle school students, we are growing the program into high school, and I'm even willing to go pre-vet, So expansion of the program is special to me, and it shows that we are making an impact in Orlando to continue to have students join us. And even two of those students that come to mind with stories is one, she's attended all of our events in Florida because we've done 3 in VMX, and then we've also done 1 in Tampa. And they moved to Puerto Rico last year. And in October, I received an email from her mom to say, hey, when is the VMX event for 2025? Because we moved to Puerto Rico, but we're coming back. Whenever you say it is, we're coming. And they did. I told them that, and so that meant a lot. Like, that is the impact of the program for your child. And then another student that comes to mind is Makai, and he wants to be a veterinary surgeon. And coming to the event in 2024 for the first time, he was able to meet Dr. Kenneth Pierce, who is a veterinary ophthalmologist, and Dr. Courtney Campbell, who is a veterinary surgeon. And I think what he recognized was he didn't realize that veterinary ophthalmologists existed and that they also did surgery. And so him identifying with 2 Black men in the veterinary space was life-changing for him. And then being able to, blendVET provides a list of local hospitals and next steps for students, of hospitals that would say yes to a shadowing experience. And so Makai spent his year kind of going and visiting hospitals in the Orlando, Miami area. And he wrote me a wonderful holiday card that I was emotional, because he basically said, like, thank you for creating blendVET. Thank you for allowing me to have one step closer to my dreams. And, I really appreciate it. And that's the why, right? That's the reminder of like why it matters. Every story is different, and every story just impacts me. And so it was just a reminder for us to continue to do the work.
I mean, I'm feeling a little emotional myself right now, because representation and fostering that mentoring environment and then being able to give them the tools that's everything. That's it.
It is. And, what we try to tell our students is that your story isn't going to mirror ours, but you can overcome whatever your story will be. And I think that for myself, my father is from Colombia. And so growing up, I did not learn fluent Spanish. And so I also try to make sure that when we have students in the room that are bilingual, that I remind them that is a superpower that they possess, because that will change outcomes in examination rooms. So hold on to who they are. Don't let go of their culture. And then I encourage students too, like, you have to take another language. Like, it will make you, a superhero as well. And so, having all of the different representation in our events, not only veterinarians, veterinary technicians, assistants, practice managers, industry, we have academia. We want them to know that it's not just veterinary medicine as a small animal veterinarian in a hospital. There is so much diversity in this profession, and there's someone in this room that represents that, and you meet with them and build that relationship and build that mentorship and rapport.
Powerful work.
Yeah, it's great. You got to come and see one of our events.
Yeah, well, I'm there.
Okay. Well, I will just keep you posted, because we are building our 2026 calendar as we speak. So we'll definitely keep you posted, but we do still have 3 more events this fall into the winter months.
Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely. I want to get those dates so we can be there.
Yeah.
In a profession that often struggles with retention, how do you see belonging and mentorship shaping long-term success? I think we just kind of touched on that with the story that you're sharing, but anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times people see the word DEI, and historically, blendVET has always added the B.
Hmm.
It's not for blend, it's not for Bruno, it is for belonging. And I think that every um, path step on the pipeline of becoming a veterinarian that I've been in, I've looked for belongingness.
Yeah.
And then when I didn't have it, I often questioned myself in the profession. Do I belong there? Do I have what it takes? And that's where mentorship comes into play, because many of the mentors I had early on in my career didn't look like me, but they
Yeah.
believed in me. And I think that mentorship is something we're all capable of doing in vet med. And I think creating environments of belongingness is something we're all capable of doing in vet med, because that keeps people in. So
Yeah.
many stories that I have of people that are thinking about leaving the profession, or even thinking about not choosing a particular pathway in vet med, stems from not feeling belongingness or
Yeah.
not having mentorship. So I think that if we're really intentional about creating diversity in every pathway in vet med, we've got to make sure that people understand that matters.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, wow. We could spend a whole.
Oh yes, we could.
BlendVet has partnered with major organizations. From your perspective, what role can media platforms like Athletic Conceptual Training play in helping amplify those partnerships and stories?
Well, I think that there's so much opportunity with collaboration. It's why I named the company blendVET.
Yeah.
It was to blend. We shouldn't have to be, reinventing wheels. We should be collaborative and sharing and highlighting stories. As much as I would like to think that everybody knows about blendVET, not everybody knows about blendVET. And so the
Right.
more platforms and the more features and the more articles that allow us to share the message, the mission, the values, the stories, allows people to know that they can be a part of this. It's not where we're just doing this solo. Like, these pathway events could not happen without veterinary professionals contributing their time, energy, resources. Our program that we're doing in San Diego next week, we're not only doing an educational program at its school, we're doing a vet unity or a community a day to bring access to care to that school community. That requires collaboration with
Yeah.
different industry leaders, and media, helps to amplify that message. So we would not be where we are today without, the support of our media friends, and, just giving us opportunities like being on podcasts to share what we do.
I love that, and I can't wait to see you next week as well in San
Yes. Are you
Diego.
going to come to the event?
I will be there.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. It would be great to meet you in person.
Yeah, definitely. Moving right along, some people say DEI is becoming a buzzword in veterinary medicine. How do you ensure that BlendVet's work goes beyond surface level initiatives?
Yes. So I definitely will never use the word DEI as a buzzword. To me, it's a core value. It should be a core value in veterinary medicine. So much of what DEI is matters for both people and pets. And so for me, it's 100% about sustainability of this work
Mhm.
in vet med. And when we talk about the pathway programming, I think the perfect example is that our intention is never to go into a school and tell students like, hey, you can be this, and then not give them a next step.
Yeah.
Whether it's providing them with a list of hospitals for shadowing experiences, whether it's meeting and connecting with a person in that room that's local, that is willing to mentor them, whether it's also our virtual programming. I started to recognize that we're not going to be able to go to every school in the country, and not every student is able to come to veterinary conferences where we might be. And so what can we do to reduce that barrier or remove that barrier? And so we launched in the spring our virtual programming, which not only talks to parents, it talks to students. It gives students different modules that encompass different pathways in veterinary medicine. So at least there's something that they can do while they're still exploring what vet med is. And
Yeah.
so that is always our goal, is what can we do to take it up a notch so that we are growing with students and we are constantly challenging them with different ways that they can stay connected to vet med. Because I never want a student to say, I went into my shadowing experience in a small animal hospital, I did not like it, and this is not for me. Well, I know that small animal medicine is not for me. But I also know that there are government roles and there are roles in schools and there is research roles that I can also easily find a space for myself in. So our goal is never to be one and done. It is a sustainable, actionable program, and that's what we will continue to do.
Love that. Love that. I love that. Representation can be powerful, but at times organizations slip into tokenism. How do you keep the balance between authentic inclusion and checking a box?
Ooh, that's a whole podcast, Ryan. I have in several points of my career felt tokenization, because certainly being one of only either in the hospital or one of only in a leadership role, has definitely come with a be the face of our marketing materials, or be the face of this recruitment Zoom call, and that's not a good feeling when there is no when it's all talk and no action. And so I think that the important thing that I try to explain to organizations, is that when you're taking the stance in doing DEI work, that yes, it's important to listen to the voices that are not normally in rooms, but it's also important that you are committed to providing resources, tools, personnel that support, and actually make it authentic inclusion in your workplaces. Because right now, it always feels very empty. And then that's when the tokenization and the checking the box just is very apparent, as opposed to we're creating these roles, we're placing people in, we're supporting them from our C-suite and our middle management, we're making true change, we're giving them a budget. That to me is the difference maker. And we're listening to people, because again, what bothered me when I was in practice would be that, I'd be in the rooms and nobody was asking me, and I'm on the front lines, we're making decisions and it affects people on the front line. So we definitely have to make sure that we listen to the unheard voices that normally don't get asked.
Mm, yeah, I think that's part of effective leadership as well.
Oh, for certain. And I understand that it is a struggle at times, but I think that there are plenty of people that want to do great work in vet med. There are plenty of people that believe in the value of DEIB. And I think that often when they're not supported, it doesn't lead to true change. And what I also want to emphasize to all is that it doesn't require leadership to make change. It requires people to make change, or to implement change. Like, there was so much that I did as an associate vet that impacted my clients and the team around me. And I didn't need that title of leadership then. So I just make sure that I always stress to people that you don't have to be the medical director, you don't have to be the CEO to really create opportunities for change in your work environment.
Mm, mm. There's heavy investment in AI and technology in vet med right now. Do you think DEI and leadership development risks being sidelined because they're not seen as profitable?
I think the concern is very real, and there's probably some that have gone that route. But I just want to remind everybody that, yes, I'm all for the AI and the technology, but what we do every day is about people. We're working with people, we're interacting with people, and that requires emotional intelligence, that requires empathy. And that's not necessarily coming off on a AI, website. And the
Right.
technology, I mean, it's very important. Those are very important and have helped to, change how fast we can move or be able to keep our pets alive. But at the end of the day, what we do every day is about people. And it's DEIB is about people. It's about recognizing differences. It's about elevating people and with giving them the resources they need. It's about bringing them into the conversation and uplifting them. And that's something that has to be taught as well. And it's just as much as a need in vet med as the technology and the AI. So that is my hope, is that we can continue to keep that in the narrative of
Yeah.
the value of the diversity and the innovation that it brings.
Yeah, to touch on this, I did a podcast with Joe Lemon, and we were talking about AI in the veterinary space. And one of the things that we were focusing in on is exactly what you're saying, is that you can't replace the human aspect. When someone has an emergency and they're really worried about their pet and they're bringing their pet in and they're trusting you as their doctor, there's no, I mean, AI can help you translate, but there's no AI that can help you connect with that human on a soul level.
Exactly.
And some of my most fulfilling times is when I can go into an exam room with the owner and say, "Let me help you."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It really matters because that's, people, when they comes in for just preventative care, they'll come in with their phone and they'll be like, this is what I read about. But when
Hmm.
you're in an emergency situation, nobody's reading what's on the phone. They want you to tell them, and
Yeah,
they want you to tell them empathically. And that is not AI. That is not
right,
technology. That is just connecting, just what
right.
you said.
Mm. Um, mm, and I could spend some more time on that one too.
Yeah.
When you look 5 years ahead, what does success look like for blendVET?
Oh, sorry. I think I missed the first half. What did you say?
Oh, I said, when you look 5 years ahead, what
Mhm.
does success look like for blendVET?
Oh, well, I think that it's a lot. I have a lot of plans for blendVET, and sometimes as a CEO, as a visionary, I have to kind of rein it in and be like, what makes sense for 5 years? I definitely think that having programming that really follows every stage of the pipeline is important to me. So while we started with middle school students, I definitely want to go back to the elementary school level and create age appropriate material that allows them to kind of even know that vet med is for them. So then that way, by the time they get to middle school, there's definitely a seed that's been planted that needs to just continue to be watered all the way up
Hmm.
through pre-vet. So that's definitely on the goal list. Creating more virtual programming that encompasses not just different specialties, different roles, but also different industries, and being able to also have people, real people, share their story, but from a lens of a different culture. Because then that also broadens, perspectives too. People are intersectional, right? And so hearing a story, we're so far with the programming that we've done virtually, some of the feedback has been the students really love to hear our stories. Like, why did we choose vet med and what did we do when we were 12, 13 years old? Because that's where they are right now. So I think that storytelling piece will help students continue to be engaged. And then long term, I definitely see opportunities for blendVET to support teachers better, and support what does vet med look like in classrooms. And I think that there is opportunities to bridge that disconnect educationally with pet care, to have subjects in vet med taught at the high school or middle school, high school level, and even start with elementary school. Like, some students don't know you can't feed your pets grapes, right?
Yeah,
And you
right,
learn that once you go to the emergency room, right? And so
right.
we have those conversations, even when they're 5, 6 years old, like, we don't drop grapes on the floor, So
Yeah,
that is definitely over the next 5 years. We want to continue having impact on our pathway programming in person, virtually, and even all age groups. That's what
love
I'll
that.
commit to right now.
Yeah, I mean, I see it for
Oh, thank you.
you.
Yeah. And yeah, and if definitely it's hard when we go into new cities and we don't know where to go, like schools
Hmm.
wise. So the support from people like yourself that say, I live here and these are great opportunities, because it's hard to start a network, right? But
Yep.
we're committed to continuing to grow that network, so that way there is opportunities for students to be like, although I live in the Bay, I could easily get to VMX in Orlando, and I have
Right.
people that I know. So we're just trying to build that community up so people don't feel alone in this journey.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, really important question. At ACT, Athletic Conceptual Training,
Okay.
our mission is to highlight voices, bridge culture, and elevate leadership in veterinary medicine. Where do you see opportunities for ACT and blendVET to align our visions?
You know, a lot of what we talked about pre-podcast, you know, with your work with students and athletes, and that mindset, I definitely think that that's something that we could work together in. You know, I tell students that the students that we have coming for the day for vet med, I'm like, oh, veterinary medicine is teamwork, right? So if you have the athletic skills in working with a team, basketball, my son plays soccer, like that's a team sport, and that will carry over into your professional career. And vet med is 100% about teamwork, and that collaboration. It also gives you, if you're balancing school and you're balancing your athletics, then you also can balance vet med. You know, you'll be able to balance the educational rigor and all of the things that come along with getting experiences, plus being an athlete. So I think that, you know, whatever students that you potentially work with, there's always opportunities to have virtual sessions with them, or if we're in the area, try to have them come to an in-person blendVET event. And, you know, just again, with the mission of your media platform, just kind of staying connected of like, what is blendVET doing and what are you doing, right? Where are the synergies that lie? Because in this work, we pivot constantly, and sometimes we don't even know a great idea until 2 months from now. So it's always important to stay connected, because maybe in the pivoting, there's still even better synergies.
Right. Yeah, well, we will always highlight blendVET as long as we can, and you know, in whatever pivotal stage that you're in. I just really admire what you're doing and what you're building.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Of course. Final question.
Yes.
If a student or young professional is listening to this and they feel like they don't belong in veterinary medicine, what message would you want them to hear directly from you?
Oh, you do belong. You may not feel that in the place that you're in, but learn the lesson in this moment, and then find the people that will help you make you feel that you belong. You know, there's always a lesson. And sometimes you don't see it, because if you focus on just like, I'm not feeling like I belong, I'm not getting support in this moment, you're missing out on what the lesson is in that moment. Maybe the lesson is that you learn how to overcome that. You know, you develop a new relationship, you find a mentor that you didn't expect. Or maybe the lesson is you just learn about a new disease while you're sitting in the room watching and observing. You know, there's always been a lesson, and don't let that, if you're feeling that, don't let that define what your future could be. You just need to find another environment, another person, another mentor to get you on the right track. And you can always follow us at blendVET, because we definitely are here. We have, like I said, content, but I can certainly, people find me. We have hello@blend.vet, pathway development at blend.vet. I get all of that directly and indirectly. And so I've had students reach out, and, you know, even if it's just 3 lines that I can say, the thing that I also tell people is that your network is your power. And so while I may not know everything, I know a lot of people. And sometimes if I can't help you directly, I definitely will connect you with someone that can. So don't give up. That's the basis of everything. Don't give up. We need you in vet med.
I love that. And we'll end it with that. Dr. Bruno, thank you for your time, your vision, and your leadership. It's clear that blendVET isn't just a program, it's a movement shaping the future of veterinary medicine. It's been an honor having you on the show, and I know this conversation will inspire so many of our listeners.
Well, thank you so much, and I hope to see you soon.
Yeah, see you next week.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Take care.
Take care.